My brother stole my house while I was fighting fires for 48 hours straight. Now he's doing 6 years in federal prison. Hey friends. Got a sec? Drop your thoughts in the comments and hit subscribe. It's quick for you, but it really means a lot to us. Alright, let's dive into today's story. First post, posted to r/legal advice. I need help. I'm Tyler, 31M, a firefighter who just discovered my brother Cameron, 33M, forged my signature to add himself as co-owner on my house. I'm exhausted, running on 3 hours of sleep after a brutal 48-hour shift, and I don't know where to start. Let me back up. I've been a firefighter for 9 years, working at Station 19 in downtown. The job means everything to me, saving lives, serving my community, being part of a brotherhood that actually means something. 3 years ago, after years of saving and working overtime shifts, I finally bought my dream house. Nothing fancy, a 2-story colonial on Maple Street with a big backyard, solid bones, needed some work but it was mine. My first real accomplishment outside the firehouse. Cameron is my older brother, works as a senior sales manager at Premier Auto Group, one of those massive dealerships with the inflatable tube men out front. He's always been the successful one in our parents' eyes, makes 6 figures, drives a BMW, has the big suburban house with his wife Jessica and their 2 kids. But there's always been something off about how he handles money. Expensive watches appearing overnight, vacations he shouldn't be able to afford, constantly refinancing things. The relationship between us has always been complicated. Growing up, Cameron was the golden child, straight A's, student council president, full ride to State University for business. I was the screw-up who barely graduated, joined the fire academy because I didn't know what else to do. Our parents, especially our father, never let me forget it. Even after I found my calling as a firefighter, saved actual human lives, it was never enough compared to Cameron's sales awards and commission checks. About 6 months ago, Cameron started coming around more. At first, I thought maybe he was finally seeing me as an equal, wanting to build a real relationship. He'd bring beer, watch the game, ask about my shifts. He seemed genuinely interested in my life for once. He even offered to help me with some house repairs, said he knew contractors who could give me deals. The visits increased when I started working more overtime. The department's been short-staffed, and I've been pulling 48-hour shifts regularly, sometimes 72 hours straight during wildfire season. Cameron would offer to check on my house while I was gone, collect my mail, make sure everything was secure. I gave him a spare key, thinking I was lucky to have a brother who finally cared. Last month, things got weird. Cameron started asking detailed questions about my mortgage, my homeowner's insurance, my property taxes. He said he was thinking about getting into real estate investing and wanted to learn from my experience. He even asked to see my deed and mortgage paperwork, said he wanted to understand how everything worked. I was exhausted from a particularly brutal week of structure fires and medical calls, so I showed him where I kept everything in my home office filing cabinet. 2 weeks ago, I was at the station between calls, mindlessly scrolling through my mail on my phone when I saw something from the county recorder's office. My heart stopped. It was a notification of a deed modification. According to the document, I had added Cameron as a co-owner of my property with rights of survivorship. I immediately called the recorder's office. The clerk confirmed that yes, a new deed had been filed 3 weeks prior. She emailed me a copy. There was my signature, except it wasn't. I know my own signature, and this was close but wrong. The T in Tyler was too tall, the Y didn't have my characteristic loop. But it was good enough to fool someone who didn't know better. The deed modification included a notary stamp from someone named Michelle Rodriguez. A quick Google search showed she worked at Premier Auto Group, Cameron's dealership. The pieces started falling into place like a structure fire investigation, each bit of evidence pointing to an ugly truth. I confronted Cameron yesterday. I'd just come off a 48-hour shift where we lost a patient despite our best efforts, a 7-year-old girl from a car accident. I was emotionally raw, physically exhausted, and then had to face this betrayal. I drove straight to his office at the dealership. Tyler. He stood up from his desk, all smiles and fake warmth. What brings you here? You look terrible, rough shift. You forged my signature on my deed. I didn't have energy for games. His face went through a series of expressions, confusion, concern, then finally, when he realized I had proof, a kind of resigned annoyance. Not guilt, not shame, annoyance, like I'd caught him taking the last beer from my fridge. Look, it's not what you think, he started, using his car salesman voice. I was trying to help you. You're never home, always at the station. If something happened to you on the job, the house would get tied up in probate. This way, I could manage things, keep it in the family. You committed fraud. You forged my signature and stole half my house. Stole? Come on, Tyler. I'm your brother. I was protecting your investment. You know how dangerous your job is. Just last week, that firefighter in Chicago dash. Get off my deed. No. He leaned back, and I saw the real Cameron emerge. It's not that simple. It's already filed. It would look suspicious if we changed it back so quickly. The IRS might think we're trying to avoid gift taxes. Could trigger an audit. I don't care. Fix it. Or what? He stood up, straightening his expensive tie. You'll call the cops? I'm your brother. Mom and Dad would be devastated. Think about what this would do to Jessica, to my kids. To your nephew and niece. You want to be the uncle who sent their dad to jail. I left without another word. I didn't trust myself not to do something that would end my career. I spent my next off day researching. The fraud was clear, the signature was forged, the notary was in on it, the whole thing was criminal. But Cameron was right about one thing: pressing charges would destroy our family. Our parents are in their 70s. Our mom has a heart condition. This would kill her. I tried one more time to handle it quietly. I had my buddy Anthony from the station, who used to be a cop, call Cameron unofficially. Cameron laughed at him, said it was a family matter, and hung up. That's when I started digging deeper. I contacted the title company, the county recorder, pulled every document I could find. What I discovered made my blood run cold. This wasn't Cameron's first forgery at the dealership. There were patterns in the paperwork, suspicious similarities in signatures on loan documents. Different customers, same handwriting characteristics. I'm sitting here now, 3 hours of sleep in the last 2 days, staring at evidence that my brother isn't just a thief who targeted me. He's been doing this to customers at his dealership. Forging signatures on loan applications, warranty extensions, trade-in documents. All to boost his commissions, his numbers, his bonuses. The house isn't even about money for him. It's about control. It's about still being the successful one, having power over his little brother the firefighter. But he's given me something I didn't have before: leverage. And other victims who deserve justice. I've made copies of everything. My next call is to the FBI's White-Collar Crime Division. Then the State Attorney General's office. Then the Department of Motor Vehicles Investigation Division. Cameron wanted to play with fire, and he forgot what I do for a living. I know this will destroy my family. My parents will blame me. Jessica will blame me. But I keep thinking about that 7-year-old girl we couldn't save, about all the families I've seen destroyed by someone else's choices. I think about the customers Cameron scammed, people just trying to buy a car they could afford, trusting him with their financial futures. Tomorrow I'm back on shift for another 48 hours. But tonight, I'm setting Cameron's house of cards on fire. Legally, methodically, completely. What legal steps should I take to protect myself and my house while the investigation unfolds? Update 1, posted 3 weeks later. Remember me? The firefighter whose brother forged his signature on his house deed? Well, Cameron's empire just came crashing down harder than a condemned building. After my last post, I took your advice and hired a real estate attorney, Sarah Mitchell, who specializes in deed fraud. She was expensive but worth every penny. The first thing she did was file a lease pendens on my property, which puts a public notice that the ownership is in dispute. This prevents Cameron from trying to sell or borrow against the house while we sort this out. But the real fireworks started when I submitted my evidence package to the FBI. Turns out, the FBI had been building a case against Premier Auto Group for 6 months. They'd received complaints from several banks about suspicious loan applications, but they didn't have the smoking gun, until I walked in with evidence of Cameron's forgery operation. My brother wasn't just changing numbers on loan applications. He was running a whole fraudulent ecosystem. Here's how his scam worked. Customer comes in with bad credit, can't qualify for the car they want. Cameron would forge documents showing fake employment, inflate income, even create entire fake businesses with himself as the employer verifying income. He'd forge the customer's signature on applications to multiple lenders simultaneously, getting approvals before the fraud could be detected. The customers thought they were getting miracle approvals. Cameron was getting massive commissions on cars that should never have been sold. The notary, Michelle Rodriguez? She wasn't just notarizing fake documents, she was Cameron's girlfriend. Yes, his side piece was helping him commit federal crimes while Jessica raised their kids at home. The FBI found text messages between them discussing their fraud schemes mixed with their affair plans. Real classy. Last Tuesday at 6 a.m., while I was responding to a kitchen fire across town, the FBI raided Cameron's dealership. 20 agents, forensic accountants, U.S. Marshals, The works. They seized every computer, every file, every document. They arrested Cameron in front of his entire sales team. Michelle was arrested at her apartment, still in her pajamas. The dealership owner, Mr. Premier himself, Richard Sterling, was arrested at his country club during his morning tea time. Turns out he knew about Cameron's schemes and was taking a cut. The whole leadership structure was rotten. But here's where it gets really interesting. Remember how I mentioned Cameron's expensive lifestyle? The FBI forensic accountants found he'd been washing his illegal commission bonuses through a series of shell companies. He'd bought 2 rental properties using forged documents, had 3 cars in fake names, and maintained separate bank accounts his wife didn't know about. The man was living 3 different financial lives. My parents found out when Jessica called them screaming that the FBI was searching their house. Mom had a panic attack and had to be taken to the ER. Dad called me, not to ask if I was okay, not to apologize for years of comparing me unfavorably to Cameron, but to scream at me for destroying the family. "He stole from me, Dad," I said, exhausted after a 12-hour shift dealing with a hazmat situation. "He's your brother. Family handles things internally. He stole from hundreds of people. He ruined lives. You ruined his life. His children's lives. What kind of man does this to his own brother? The kind who stops criminals, Dad. It's literally my job to protect people." He hung up on me. Haven't heard from him since. Jessica has been the surprising one. After the initial shock and anger, she called me last week. Broke down crying, apologizing. She'd suspected the affair for months, but not the fraud. She found out Cameron had forged her signature too, on loan applications, credit cards, even a second mortgage on their house she didn't know existed. She's hired her own attorney and is cooperating with the FBI. The investigation has expanded to 3 states. Cameron wasn't working alone. There's a whole network of corrupt dealers, loan officers, and notaries. The FBI agent in charge told me off the record that this is one of the largest auto fraud schemes they've seen in a decade. Over $30 million in fraudulent loans have been identified so far. My house situation is getting resolved. Sarah filed a quiet title action, and given the mountain of evidence showing forgery, the judge granted a temporary restraining order removing Cameron from the deed immediately. The permanent resolution will take a few more months, but my house is safe. The fire station has been incredible. When word got out about what I was going through, every single one of my brothers and sisters at Station 19 offered support. Captain Rodriguez, no relation to Michelle, gave me time off for legal meetings without using my vacation days. The crew covered my shifts when I had to be in court. They even organized a fundraiser to help with my legal fees, though I tried to refuse it. "You run into burning buildings for strangers," Anthony told me. "Let us help you fight this fire." Last night, I worked my first peaceful shift in months. No family drama invading my thoughts, no wondering what Cameron was stealing while I saved lives. Just me, my crew, and the job I love. We responded to a car accident on the highway, a family of 4, all okay thanks to seatbelts and airbags. The father shook my hand afterward, thanking me for being there. "Just doing my job," I told him. But for the first time in months, I actually felt like I was. Not the family disappointment, not the brother who destroyed everything, just a firefighter doing what he was meant to do. Cameron's preliminary hearing is next month. He's facing 47 federal charges including wire fraud, mail fraud, identity theft, and conspiracy. Michelle flipped immediately for a plea deal. She's looking at 2 to 3 years. Cameron's looking at 15 to 20. I still haven't processed it all. My therapist, yes, I finally started seeing one, the department provides it free, says it's normal to feel guilty even when you did the right thing. She says Cameron was abusing me long before he forged my signature, that the forgery was just the escalation of years of manipulation and control. She's probably right. But it still hurts. He was my brother. Despite everything, part of me still loves the kid who taught me to ride a bike, who snuck me into R-rated movies, who stood up for me against bullies in middle school. That person is gone, maybe never really existed, but I mourn him anyway. I'll update after the preliminary hearing. For now, I'm focusing on what I can control. Being a good firefighter, taking care of my house, and learning to set boundaries with family who choose criminals over victims. To everyone who offered advice and support on my first post, thank you. You helped me find the courage to do the right thing, even when it cost me everything except my integrity. Stay safe, everyone. And check your property records regularly. You never know who's trying to steal your life while you're busy living it. Update 2, posted 2 months later. Final update. Cameron was sentenced yesterday. 6 years in federal prison, 3 years supervised release, and $2.4 million in restitution to victims. It's over. The preliminary hearing 2 months ago was brutal. Seeing Cameron in an orange jumpsuit, shackled, being led in by U.S. Marshals, it didn't feel like victory. It felt like watching my childhood officially end. He looked smaller, defeated. For the first time in our lives, he couldn't talk his way out of consequences. The evidence was overwhelming. The prosecution presented 2,847 forged documents spanning 4 years. 347 victims identified. $30.4 million in fraudulent loans. Cameron had created an entire forgery system, templates, fake websites for shell companies, even tutorial documents for teaching other corrupt salespeople his methods. He wasn't just a criminal. He was a criminal enterprise. But the most shocking revelation came during discovery. The FBI found Cameron's journal on his computer. He'd been documenting his crimes like some kind of twisted autobiography. There was an entire section about me. About how he resented my hero complex, how I got all the glory for running into buildings while he did the real work of making money. An entry from last year, right before he started visiting me more, read, "Tyler thinks he's so noble living in his little house. Time to show him who's really in control. Dad always said I was the smart one." He'd planned to steal my house from the beginning. Every visit, every beer, every brotherly moment, all calculated. The trial itself was swift. Cameron's attorney tried to negotiate a plea deal, but the U.S. attorney wasn't interested in anything less than significant prison time. Too many victims, too much damage. When banks start losing millions, the government stops playing games. Jessica testified against him. Turns out, Cameron had forged her signature on over $400,000 in loans and credit cards. She'd discovered he'd been planning to divorce her and leave her with all the debt while he escaped with Michelle to Costa Rica. The FBI found the plane tickets in his email, scheduled for 2 weeks after he stole my house. He was going to liquidate everything and run. My parents attended every day of the trial. They sat behind Cameron, wouldn't look at me. Mom aged 10 years in 2 months. Dad's hair went completely white. After Cameron's allocution, where he admitted to everything but still somehow made himself the victim, Dad finally approached me outside the courthouse. "You satisfied?" he asked, voice broken. "I'm tired, Dad. He's going to prison. Federal prison. With real criminals." "He is a real criminal, Dad." "He's your brother." "No," I said, finally finding the words I'd needed to say for years. "He's your son. He was never my brother. Brothers don't do this to each other." I walked away. Haven't spoken to them since. The best part of all this? The restitution. The government seized everything from Cameron: his house, cars, boats, the rental properties, all the hidden bank accounts. Even his BMW and Rolex collection. Total value, $3.8 million. After the primary victims, the people whose lives he destroyed with predatory loans, are compensated, I'm receiving $300,000 for theft, fraud, emotional distress, and legal fees. Cameron's commission account at the dealership, which contained almost $500,000 in illegally earned bonuses, was also seized. The forensic accountants traced $60,000 of that directly to forgeries connected to my case. That money is mine too. But here's the part that actually made me smile. My brothers at Station 19 organized something incredible. They knew I'd been stressed about home security after everything that happened. So they coordinated with firefighters from 6 other stations, contractors, security experts, all volunteering their time. Over the last month, they've transformed my house into what Anthony calls Fort Tyler. New security system with cameras, reinforced doors and windows, smart locks that alert my phone if anyone tries to enter, motion sensors, even a safe room in the basement. Captain Rodriguez's idea. He said after what I went through, I deserve to feel completely secure. The contractors, many of whom are retired firefighters, upgraded my electrical, fixed my roof, renovated my kitchen. My little colonial looks like $1 million. Why? I asked Captain Rodriguez when I saw what they'd done. Because you had the balls to do what was right even when it cost you everything. Because you're a damn good firefighter. Because we're your real family, Tyler. The family you choose, not the one you're stuck with. I'm not ashamed to say I cried. Jessica filed for divorce while Cameron was in county lockup awaiting sentencing. She's moving in with her parents in Oregon, starting over. She let me see my nephew and niece before they left. Told them Uncle Tyler loved them, that none of this was their fault. Cameron's son, only 8, asked me, "Did Daddy really steal from people?" "Yes," I told him, because he deserved the truth. "Are you sad?" he asked. "Very sad." "Me too," he said, then hugged me. They leave next week. I'll probably never see them again. Michelle Rodriguez got 18 months in federal prison, 3 years probation. She testified against everyone in exchange for the lighter sentence. The dealership owner, Richard Sterling, got 8 years. Premier Auto Group was shut down, licenses revoked, assets liquidated. 147 employees lost their jobs. The U.S. Attorney said it was the largest auto fraud takedown in state history. Yesterday, at Cameron's sentencing, he was given the opportunity to address the court. He stood up, looked at the judge, then turned to me in the gallery. "I want my brother to know," he said, voice steady, "that I forgive him for destroying my life." The audacity. The complete inability to take responsibility. The judge wasn't impressed. "Mr. Cameron," the judge said, "you destroyed your own life. You destroyed your family's life. You destroyed the financial futures of hundreds of people. Your brother didn't do this to you. You did this to yourself." 6 years in federal prison. Court is adjourned. As the marshals led Cameron away, he looked back at me one more time. No remorse, no sadness, just cold anger. The same look he gave me when we were kids and I beat him at something. Some people never change. Last night, I had my first good night's sleep in months. This morning, I woke up in my secure house, made breakfast in my renovated kitchen, and headed to Station 19 for my shift. We responded to a house fire just after lunch, saved the structure and everyone inside. The owner, an elderly man, cried as he thanked us. "You saved everything," he said. "Just doing our job," I replied. "But I finally understand what that means. Sometimes doing your job means running into burning buildings. Sometimes it means standing up to family who betray you. Sometimes it means choosing justice over peace." Cameron will be eligible for parole in 4 years with good behavior. I'll be at every hearing, victim impact statement ready, making sure the parole board knows exactly what he did and why he can't be trusted. It's not about revenge. It's about protecting other people from becoming his victims. My therapist says I'm processing well, that I'm showing remarkable resilience. I don't feel remarkable. I feel tired but free. The brother I thought I had never existed. The family I thought I needed was holding me back. The life I've built, my job, my house, my chosen family at Station 19, that's real. To everyone who followed this story, who offered support and advice, thank you. You helped an exhausted firefighter find the strength to fight a different kind of fire. To anyone dealing with family who takes advantage of you, document everything. Protect yourself. Don't set yourself on fire to keep them warm. And remember, the family you choose is often more real than the family you're born into. I'm done updating now. Time to focus on moving forward. Station 19 is organizing a community fire safety program for kids, and I'm heading it up. Teaching the next generation about fire safety, honesty, and doing the right thing even when it's hard. Cameron took my brother. But he gave me clarity about who my real family is. The ones who run into fires with me. The ones who rebuilt my house while he tried to steal it. The ones who stood by me when standing up for justice cost me everything else. That's worth more than any house deed. Stay safe, everyone. Check your smoke detectors. And seriously, monitor your financial documents. You never know who's waiting to strike when you're not looking. Tyler, firefighter, Station 19.